your last name dash mushrooms. Letter size is fine. That's 11 inches by 8.5 inches with landscape orientation and 1 artboard. Okay, I'm going to reset my palettes. Window, workspace, reset Essentials Classic. Okay, I'm also going to put my tool palette in 2 columns. I'm going to click that double arrow. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw a mushroom. You can use whatever tool you want. You can use the pen tool, the brush tool, the pencil tool. All right, I'm going to grab the pen tool. I'm going to start by making the top as one shape. Okay, and I can, use my white direct select arrow and make some edits. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. All right, and then for the stem, I'm going to make that a separate shape. So I use the pen tool for the top. How about I'll use the pencil tool for the stem? All right, and for the stem, I'm just going to use the pencil and I'm going to drag around to my original place I started. Look for that little circle next to my cursor telling me that I'm closing the path and making a shape. Then I'll go back and get my black direct select arrow, select it and fill it. All right, right now I have a stroke around both the top and the stem, so you could keep the stroke on it if you want or get rid of it. Okay, and also to add a little bit more complexity, right now my stem is on the top, so it kind of looks like I'm almost looking up at the mushroom, right? So I should be able to see the underneath of the mushroom. Now, if I sent the stem backward, then it will look like, okay, I'm kind of looking down on the mushroom. I'm higher than the mushroom. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it on the top. And then I'm going to add a little shape. I'm going to add sort of an ellipse and edit the ellipse to make it look like I can see underneath the mushroom cap. All right, so I just drew an ellipse, and now I'm going to use the white direct select arrow to just edit the ellipse and have it sort of match up with my other border of the mushroom. Now I could add anchor points with the add anchor point tool, or just keep playing around with the anchors that I have. I think I will add some anchors. All right, and then I'm going to send my stem forward to make it look like I can look up at the mushroom. All right, so once you have, and by the way, I'm going to get rid of the stroke on the mushroom because I think that doesn't look very good with the underneath showing. All right, once you've got your foundation for your mushroom, get your black arrow, drag a selection around the whole thing, and let's duplicate it 3 to 4 more times. I'm going to duplicate mine 4 times. So select the whole thing with the black arrow, hold Alt or Option, and let's duplicate it. Okay, next up, we're going to add some different things to each mushroom. The first mushroom, let's add a gradient. All right, so I'm going to select the mushroom cap with my black arrow. And I'm going to drop down the fill, and I'm going to choose one of my default gradients. So I've got a default orange to yellow. All right, so here now I've got a default 2-color gradient, orange to yellow, and it's linear left to right. But I'd like to edit this. So let's go over to the gradient palette over here on the right-hand side. And let's click on the gradient palette so that we can see the gradient editor. All right, now you'll notice in the gradient editor that this is actually more than a 2-color gradient. It's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 color stops on the gradient editor. So at this point, I could actually click on each color stop, double click, and bring up my swatches and change the color. Or I could click on the little palette and use the spectrum to change the color. I can also get rid of some of the colors. Like let's say I don't want this duplicate orange right here. I'm going to take this color stop and click it and drag it down to take it off the gradient. All right, if you don't want all those, just take them off like that. All right, so now I've got 3 colors on there, sort of a yellowy orange, orange, and red. All right, so I could continue changing the colors if I wanted, like here's a yellow instead, or a green, back to orange. All right, so now I have a 3-color gradient, yellow, orange, red. All right, so I edited my gradient in the gradient editor, but I want to change its direction on the actual mushroom. So now it's time to go back to the tool palette and get the gradient tool. And now the gradient tool, I can redraw the gradient. All right, so with the gradient tool, I can make the gradient go left to right or up and down. Make sure you are selecting the object you want to fill with first. All right, so in this case, this kind of looks like I've got a light source coming from the left, lower left. Or if I switch it like that, now the light source is coming from the upper left. All right, so we've got a gradient on one. Next up, I'm going to put some dots on my second mushroom. All right, and this is going to be real simple and it's going to go real fast. Take a look. I am going to select the mushroom cap with the black arrow. I'm going to go to the bottom of the layers palette. See these 3 little buttons? Right now we're actually in a default called Draw Normal. We're going to go to the 3rd one that says Draw Inside. All right, now it only works if you select your object first. So select it with the black arrow and then click that 3rd button that says Draw Inside. Now when I do that, you're going to see that I get this bounding box made out of dots. That means that right now I can only, whatever I draw is going to go inside my selected object and nowhere else. I'm going to get my ellipse tool and change color so that you can see. Watch this. I'm going to start drawing the ellipse outside the mushroom cap and then overlap on it. And take a look. It only shows up inside the mushroom. All right, simple as that, drawing inside. You want to get out of this draw inside mode? Once again, select the object with the black arrow and then click on the Draw Normal button. And now we're back to drawing normal. All right, I'm going to do that again. So on my next mushroom, once again, I'm going to select it with my black arrow. I'm going to go to the bottom of the tool palette and click on the third button, Draw Inside. All right, look for that dotted bounding box that tells you you're only drawing inside. All right, I did dots, and now I'm going to do sort of some stripes, and they're just going to be real organic. I'm going to get the pencil tool, and I'm just going to draw a shape, and notice it went outside the bounding box of the edges of the cap. I'm going to select, notice it's only a path right now, right? So I'm going to select the path, then I'll drop down my fill and choose a fill, and take a look, see how it only shows up inside the mushroom cap. I'll click away to deselect, there it is. Let's see if I hover on it, see the original path still shows up outside. All right, I can do that again. So I've got my pencil tool. I'm going to draw just sort of an organic little shape representing a stripe. Select it with the black arrow. I'm selecting the path. Give it a fill color. Whoops, where'd it go? All right, sometimes we get a little glitch like this one, like there's my path, but I can't fill it. So I might have to start that mushroom again. All right, I'll select it, click Draw Inside, get my pencil tool, fill it. There we go. Okay, now I'll select it and click Draw Normal. All right, and then my last technique, here's my last mushroom. Let's do it again. I'm going to select it, click Draw Inside. This time, I'm going to give the mushroom a texture by using paint strokes. So let's go up to the paint drop-down window for your paintbrushes. Let's go to the library in the lower left-hand corner. All right, and then look for an interesting brush you might want to use. Bristle brushes are good for texture. Some of your artistic brushes are good for texture. I'm going to go to Artistic Chalk Charcoal Pencil. All right, so here's my palette for those brushes. And I'm just going to take this first one because it's got a lot of texture. All right, now remember, I already selected the mushroom cap and I clicked the button for Draw Inside. All right, I'm going to get my brush tool and I'm going to click No Fill because I'm using the brush, No Fill, and I'm going to choose a different color for the brush so that it shows up. All right, remember I've got the brush tool. I've chosen the charcoal brush or chalk brush here. Okay, and now I'll just kind of swipe across and there's my texture. I can do that another time. All right, and that was drawing inside with the brush to create texture. All right, I'll go ahead and click the Draw Normal button to get out of there. How about I'll do the same thing to the stem? How about I'll select the stem with the black arrow, click the Draw Inside button. All right, and how about this time I'll choose a fill color that's just a little bit darker brown. Okay, and how about I'll use a different brush and take a look at that texture. All right, so actually this I could see working really well on a tree trunk. Okay, and don't forget that right now I was only using 1 point for my brush. Don't forget you can increase your point size. Like let's say I went to 8 for the brush. And now take a look. Now it covered the entire stem with the texture. All right, I can always go back and add more to these other ones. So I'll select this one, click the draw inside. Get my brush. How about choose a bigger point size again? And brush. Okay, that was back to 1 point. That defaulted back to 1 point. Let's select that and see if I can increase the stroke size. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that was 8-point stroke size, 1 brush stroke. Okay, so at this point, I should see from you 3 to 4 mushrooms, 1 with a gradient, 1 with dots or with stripes, and then 1 filled in with texture using the brush tool. All right, from here, go ahead and go to File, Save As. Go ahead and keep this as an Illustrator file for your Google Drive. All right, then it's time to export. File, Export. I'm sorry. Yeah, File, Export, Export As. All right, let's choose Save As Type JPEG and Export. You can keep it at RGB for color mode. 8 is good for quality. And remember, for resolution, you need to have medium 150 ppi. If this was a finalized artwork like your complex character illustration, you should choose high 300 ppi. All right, but this is our practice, so let's do 150 and OK. All right, after that, I saved mine to the desktop. Where did you save yours? So you'll need to look for it on the desktop, double check it has no scratch board, and then you're ready to turn this into the Google Classroom. If you do have a scratch board, remember, open it up in Photoshop, crop out your scratch board, and save it as a JPEG.